welcome to the members. And guys, we're going to figure out how we get to this point to make this dress block. Basically, I have been videotaping for quite some time, so I am giving you the abridged, condensed version of how we made this dress and how you should do practices and exercises like this and start saving your blocks. So before we get to the end of the video where I demonstrate making this dress and go over some of the pitfalls and opportunities in importing DXF patterns, or how to get your pattern out of using CLO3D and creating a pattern that actually fits, that actually is usable in the real world after you've edited and modified it to a certain size that you want. So without further ado, let's get into it. You will see a few cuts here and there, but I'm going to try to keep everything in a nice flow for the next 20-25 minutes. So you will be listening to the sounds of my voice as I guide you through the creation phase of making this dress. This is the inspiration of the dress. I will tell you it's a Michael Kors dress. You'll probably see that a little bit later in the video. But it's just basically a shirt dress with a banded waist and a flare skirt. So there's a lot of modifications you can do with this garment. You can crisscross it. You can make it a small, smaller collar, or just a collar band. You can shorten the sleeve. You can make it a shorter skirt, a flare skirt. You have a lot of opportunities. At this point, I didn't change the actual fabric to be like this shirting fabric that there is. I'm just going to do that real quick so we can see that it is not as long as it is in the default fabric. And one of the things that I like, oh, please excuse my fabric library. Somebody is OCD with the fabric. But yeah, so let's go ahead and pick one of those. And you'll see that it just rises up a little bit and gives a little bit more of a flare type of dress. You can take out the darts, you can add pleats. All of that is part of it, but what I did to make a block was just basically stick to the basics. Make a clean pattern, make the shapes that you want, and then whenever I want to go back and make a dress out of this block, because that's what you're going to be doing, is starting to get familiar with patterns and start making blocks, so that once you learn how to do something and you get it to a place where you're ready to create it as a full garment, you need to start incorporating blocks into your workflow. Why do I say that? Because a lot of times we end up remaking things that we've already made. Like, how many times have you made a circle skirt? How many times have you made a shirt with cuffs and collars? How many times have you done these garments? And how many times do you want to actually have to do that over again? So like I said, this is our inspiration, and this is a members only video, so you guys are welcome to ask any questions you want and you will get priority answers. And we're just going to go ahead and take a look at one of the key things that I'm listing in the comments below is this channel here, and this channel is called Points of Measure. One of the things that I learned early on in the process of making digital patterns is how to translate measurements. So one thing that I liked about this channel is that early on she shows that she takes the graph paper and basically she marks out like a sloper pattern, but the grid paper that she uses is her basic template that she goes into a simple Illustrator file. She makes her grid and she makes everything basically pretty much line up by the inch. She uses, we'll see this later, digital rulers to help her with the shapes of the garments and of the style lines that she wants, and just basically make nice and smooth lines. She gets to the end of the video and she's basically got her sloper marked out with all of her different line widths and stitches and all that kind of stuff. So definitely follow the link below for this tutorial and it will help you on your way to making great patterns. But like I said, there are a few other ways that you can go ahead and start making patterns. This is another fabulous channel, and this woman, minimalist modelist, I believe that's what it is. Oh, minimalist machinist. She works with a program called CLO3D. Now, CLO3D is a very mathematical coded type of program that uses measurements and line widths in order to create garment shapes, pieces, full garments, whatever it is. So I'm going to do CLO3D in another video. I'm going to attempt it. This is definitely a very parametric mathematical way of making patterns with curves and lines and all that stuff. So CLO3D, excuse me, CLO3D is now updated their software. So I'm interested to see what the new download looks like. I will be downloading that, and I'll show you that in another member video. But basically, they're coming on with the times because we need a 2D program that is accessible, I should say. Like, I have made a tremendous investment into Optitex. Once you buy the program, it doesn't get updated as much as you think. So sometimes over the past 3 or 4 years, I haven't really needed an upgrade. I did get an upgrade, but the functionality hasn't changed. So we in the industry need a software that you can actually draft patterns and feel confident that they match the measurements that you want. So on the website here, you're going to see exactly how they give a demo of how it's the pattern pieces are made, and basically lines and curves joined together, and then you extract your piece out of it. You can add seam allowance, you can add all the different, what do you call, all the different annotations and line widths and shading that you see on a regular pattern that you would buy from a store or download online. And basically they show you how to do that in this program. So you will see me sign up at the end. But one of the things that I admire about this program is that it's free. Basically, it is an open source program that has been developed over the past few years, and hobbyists and people who really make patterns for themselves, even as a business, have really embraced this program and learned to use this program because the output is exactly what we want. Nice fitting patterns, truly match to the measurements that you input, and that's a key thing because you can make bespoke patterns with this type of a garment, with this type of a software. So you can kind of get in there and customize patterns for you know, certain customers if you want. Is it a lot? Probably, and we'll explore that a little bit, because if you're technical, then it won't be a problem. But more on the creative side, if you notice this little layout right here, you're going to see something a little bit familiar. The software, the online software that we're going to look at the end of the video is based off of this software. So basically they took the free software and they put it online so that you can make parametric patterns out of it and be able to download the actual pattern. Some of the users make it for free, and some they have a credit system that you can download patterns that you want, and we'll see that at the end. That's what the garment that we made of was made from. I used one of my credits, downloaded a pattern, and that's what we used for the block that we made. So I will catch you up on how this whole thing works. So now getting back to the tutorials for CLO3D, there is like a playlist that she has, but there are also several different users that showcase the software. But this one I found is the most complete, point by point, no pun intended, to get through it. So follow that site. But there's also the Fashioner, and this is by Fearless Makers, and they have an online an online fashion downloadable pattern making software type of thing that I signed up to a while back. And basically she uses the same type of system. So this is what I'm trying to get you guys to know. Once you learn the relationships between the lines on the body and the lines on the paper, then you can understand pattern making. A lot of these things that she has here is focused on CLO3D and Marvelous Designer, but you're able to see what some of the different pattern shapes could look like, how you can incorporate them into your workflow. If you're able to download something for free as a start to a garment or a style that you might need, you can go in. It's, you know, separated out by, you know, category of garments. They've got a lot more than they used to, so I feel like she's building her library up, which is really great. And then you can start here and kind of start to tweak and fix your patterns the way that you want to, you know, make it. Again, this is a free software. They have also incorporated the point, line, curve system, parametric pattern making. There's another video here. So all of these links that you see me going to, all of these links will be in the bottom for you guys. So you can go ahead and look and see how these things work to enhance your own personal pattern making. There's that picture again. So now we see that all of these things are based on this pattern knowledge. This knowledge is also found in many of the pattern making books. I'm going to go through at the end of the video, and I'm going to give you a book list. I'm just going to flash them on the screen, and I'm going to put a book list in the comment section. I'm not in the comment section, in the description of the video. So again, you can see there's this point, line, very mathematical, very coded system of making patterns. This is not the only system, but once you start to learn how these curves and shapes look, what the fundamental principles are of making these things, you'll catch on. So this channel right here, Pattern Lab of London, so cool. In my early 3D days, they helped me so much to understand the difference between digital and draped patterns, and just the fundamentals behind creating a flat pattern and bringing it into a 3D, or actually printing it out to sew it together. So there's a whole process behind printing patterns, and you know that there are home sewing things that go on, and you can go to Etsy and like print out a pattern, but you kind of have to know what to do with it when you print it out, how to put it together if you're printing a PDF, and also how to put it into your 3D program. A lot of times we forget that we're putting you know, 2D to 3D in these programs, and we kind of do it vice versa. We think the 3D is going to be the 2D. So if you can't reverse, if you don't know what it's supposed to look like initially, then when you do it the 3D to 2D way, that's where you kind of get messed up. So it's better for you to learn the 2D way so that you know what these shapes look like and how they are incorporated on the body. So there are a lot of different playlists that he has here. One of the earliest playlists that I saw was he takes you through the whole Adobe here it is. It takes you through the whole making patterns in Illustrator. A lot of us have Illustrator. A lot of us have, you know, line programs, graphic programs that are like Illustrator, that we can learn to do our patterns in that software. If you already have a software, might as well use it. And this really is a good playlist for you, for you to start with. So guys, follow these things that I'm telling you, and you will get better at your pattern making, and you will start to be familiar with the shapes that go into these bodies. I think that's the key. Get in to know the shapes of patterns. Get in to know what it's all about and how they work together, and what are the things that people look for in a pattern. So here's the thing that I was talking about. She has a great product that just came out, and it's called Digital Pattern Rulers for Illustrator. So now we're back in Illustrator, and we're using these tools in order to draft real world patterns. So you can follow this if you're interested in the rulers. If you want to make your own French curves and rulers and hip curves, and feel free to give it a go because those are some of the things you need to be able to shape your patterns properly. So now this is the software that we're going to be using today, but I wanted to give you a little bit of a run through on what it is. It's a community software based on CLO3D. Now they've got it running in the back. They've made it into a pretty much a hobbyist community site where people post patterns in all of the different sizes. So they do have a size engine running behind the scenes so that you can get patterns out in varied sizes, meaning small, medium, large, 3XL. They've got all of the regular sizes in it, but also they offer these free blocks, or these blocks are now $1.99. They're on sale. So if you make a little bit of a tiny investment, you can see that these are some of the things that you'll be able to get for like $1.99, and I'll show you how you can get them into your 3D program. A lot of them, they don't export in DXF, but you would have to recreate the pattern in the program, and I'll show you how to do that. So this is what it looks like on the back end. It's very much putting in the points and curves and lines in actual code format. So not just like CLO3D that you would do it that way. You can do it online in this program online, or you can download the CLO3D and learn to do it on your own. So this is actually a good place to practice and see how things are made and kind of read the code, and you know, you can kind of see what movements need to be made if you're going to be using CLO3D, and then you can kind of actually incorporate some of these things, and I'll show you how they pop up. Right now, let's open up one, and you can see on the right hand side, there's a whole bunch of lines and codes and everything like that. So this one is not actually populating. Oh, it says access denied. So whoever made this, they made it like you can't see what it looks like. So you can kind of copy and paste, or you can just read it and create your own from that and see what you get. But let's open up one that is open to the public or published to the public, and then you can kind of see what it looks like. I think this one is, yeah. And it's interesting that patterns can be made this way. I mean, the body is mathematical, so it makes sense that pattern drafting in 2D is even mathematical. So this is published, and you can see that it plays the point A to B, B to C, C to D, C to P4, all of that, and it shows you that again. I'll show it. So now you can see that once you have these pieces, this is how you can make a puffy sleeve, I think it's what it's called. And there it is again. So it shows you from where it starts and to where it ends, and how you can come up with the different pieces, and you can go ahead and you can download it. We'll see another one and we'll see how that one gets downloaded, and I'll show you that it is very familiar looking to what we saw a few minutes ago with the CLO3D pattern output in one of the videos. So is it valuable for you to have something like this online and use it online? I'll show you how their online designer part works. But if you want to have something like, say maybe you have something that's a little bit more specialized, you can go ahead and see how that these pattern pieces could be made. What are they shaped like, and what some of the opportunities are for you to be able to use this kind of a program. Is this the only way to make patterns? No. Like I said, you can do it in Illustrator. But one of the things that you are still learning, no matter which way you go, is what is the shape needed from point A to point B to be represented on the body. And then once it's represented on the body, this is how your garments are created and made. Whether you're doing it on a croquis a flat piece of paper, if you're doing it on a form, it's all the same relationship. So I hope you guys can kind of understand that it's just making, it's like origami, you know, you're taking something flat and you're making something out of it. That's pretty much all it is. So now with this, I can go ahead and pick my own sizes that I have in here and apply it to this pattern piece that's published. And what it's going to do is recalculate all of the points. Really cool. It'll recalculate all of the points and redraft the pattern in the size that I need. So no matter what size you have plugged in, you're able to go ahead and build it, and then you'll be able to get these shapes out. Like say I just have a dress and I want to have this sleeve, I can go ahead and print the sleeve out in the size that I want. So this is one of the key benefits of having the program online, is the actually community sharing and the sharing of everything that is. Do I know this program like the back of my head? No. Don't ask me for a tutorial. I'm going to get into it with CLO3D. It is very mathematical, and I'm learning so many different programs right now. You might not see this until the end of the year as I take baby steps. But I'm just putting it out there to you that these are different ways that you can go ahead and start to learn the true nature of pattern making. So I can print that out right there, and I'm like, good to go. I know the measurements. I know what's needed. If I want to see it in a PDF format, like where it's printed out, like how many pages it takes up and all of that, I can also click on that and get the PDF part of it too. So that's telling me how many pages it would take if I had it in an A4. And if I wanted to go ahead and just generate the PDF, it's going to be in my shopping cart. And we could just go to the shopping cart, and then we'll get to the next part of the video. Where it is their online designer that you see up there at the top. So once I go to my orders, and I'll go to the pattern downloads, even though there's not a thumbnail, this is the shirt that we did. Now it takes a little bit a while to generate the actual SVG pattern, but we're going to get into that in this next portion. So hold on tight and let's make our block. All right, so you know that one transition for me could be a couple of hours, but for you it's a couple of seconds. So now we're going to go into the online designer. One of the things I like about this site is they try to take real world looks and match them up with the type of pattern that they can generate from their online. So that means they have like this shirt dress is similar to what we're going to make, but they show you the different pattern pieces. It's not exact, but they're telling you like, hey, this is what you can get out of our system, and it will get you close to where you need to be to have this look. If you're a true pattern maker and you want to make modifications and you know how to do that, you can start with this as a block, not a sloper. These would be blocks to make other garments. So this one's going a little bit fast. So right now we're going to pick out our dress. You already saw it in the beginning, but we're going to get to that simple shirt dress, and then we're going to work through how to get this out of the online designer and then into our 3D program. This took me quite a bit because we know that we're working with CLO3D, and CLO3D does not really handle the imported patterns. There's a lot that needs to happen in that area as far as pattern development. So now I'm selecting the different types that I want. So I want a dress, I want it to be semi-fitted, I want it to be mid-length, I want to have a collar. I do change my mind at this point because there's no option for a collar with a collar stand. So I do want to have this waist panel, which I know that they do have, and there it is. And then I want to get a skirt with 2 pleats and some kind of like a circle skirt. What I'm going to do is just go ahead and put all of the dart at the bottom, front and back, so that I could either convert that to pleats or dart or whatever it is. I'll have enough room to like do that. So I'm just going to keep all of the fitting at the waist. I'm going to go ahead and click on my sleeve, and they do have here, they have like shirt sleeve, so I'm going to go ahead and pick on that. And it's doing some kind of algorithm, but basically that is close to this dress that we have here. The only thing I need to modify is the collar. So what I opted to do is to go back and kind of remember where I was, but instead of a collar coming out of the neckline, I did a collar stand so that I can modify that, and then I can add the collar to it. So I'm just going to go back and pick all of my same things that I had, the fullness of the darts at the bottom, shirt sleeve, and here we go. So now I have 46 coins at the time of making this video, and basically you can put it in your cart and use your coins to generate the pattern. Now the pattern does, like I said, once it's in your order list, you get an email when it's ready, but basically it takes a little while to generate the file. So let's look at one that is already done. This was one that we already did. Yeah, SVG file, a PDF file, and mine is only at the SVG file stage. So it converts it into all of these different file formats in order for you to do it. And it gives you your measurement sheet also. So if you have a croquis, or if you just have the general medium size, it's going to give you a measurement sheet and an instructions sheet as well. Lecala or Lecala is the same principle. It's a sister website, and basically when you click on an online designer, you go back to this program anyway. So on Lecala, they have other things that you can download. So now I open up the SVG. The SVG I'm saving because it's all in one format. It's not broken up into pages like the PDF. So downloading the PDF is a little bit different. That's if you want to actually physically make the garment, and you tape all those pieces together page by page. And they have like little markers. If you can see, there are little markers at the side, at the bottom of the page. So I'm going to work in Illustrator, and I'm going to go ahead and pull both of these file types in so you can see the difference. If you're pulling in a PDF, all pages into Illustrator, yeah, you're gonna have a heart attack, because basically this is not 3D ready, and everything is not like sequentially, or you would have to like rearrange all the pages to show where the pattern is and take out the gaps in between the pages. So now we're not going to deal with that. We're going to work in our SVG file. We're going to go ahead and open that up. So it took me a little while to figure this flow out. So let's open up the SVG. You can see the SVG is basically one whole page, which is what we want. So this would be printing out like a plotter of, a plotter would print out. And we're going to go ahead and delete. Make sure you delete for 3D. You can delete all of your seam allowance. So I'm just going through the pieces, deleting the seam allowance. And now I can see the pieces. I can see the annotation on the pieces. I can see where some baseline should be, where my pleats or where my darts or whatever it is I decide to do should be at, the shape of my armhole front and back, and my size square at the top left. This is an important piece, the size square at the top left. We're going to open up Cloaks. I'm going to pull in my avatar. I'm not sure what size it is. I did not look, so I do end up changing the size at the end, I think, to size 8, which I think is industry medium. So right now this is a 6, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to print out this SVG file as a PDF, and then I'm going to go ahead and open it. Again, as you can see, my avatar is gone. That's because I'm starting over from the beginning. So I just want to make sure that I have a square that is 4 by 4, that is the same as the square in the pattern that I exported into from PDF, and I'm going to bring it in. But what ends up happening is that I lose this piece as some part of the import. So what I want to do is make a square, and then I want to import this file as a graphic, import the PDF as a graphic right? So it's not going to resize it. If you do it this way, it will import it the exact size as your pattern layout. So you just need to make sure that your paper, whatever you exported in Illustrator, it will keep that size. But you just have to make sure your, yes, I lose that. So I don't know how that happened. But what happened is here, you see that I did it, but the size didn't come out the way that I want. I think the size was like maybe about a 1/2 inch too big on all of the different areas. So now I just make a line that is 4 inches, and I keep that line 4 inches, and I keep scaling down the texture with my texture adjustment, and I just keep making sure that whatever I adjust, that line at the bottom equals 4 inches. So once I got that line at the bottom equaling 4 inches, which is pretty much there, then I know that I'm to my scaled size and I can start all over. So I just kind of delete all of this that I did before because it was just a little tad too big. And then I go through and just mark out the pattern shapes and trace it. So now it's a little bit different. Everybody's like, oh, where do you find your patterns? You can't just trace a pattern from the internet. This is something that you could do a little bit better with tracing the pattern. Don't be a Neanderthal like me. Try to get as many dots as you can that make sense to you for shaping this pattern. For the tutorial, I'm just doing this as a method. I'm not really following every curve and line and reshaping, but you should if you want to start with something that is representative of this pattern. Just get a little bit closer, and so now I'm just going to test out converting these to patterns, and I'm going to see what the fit looks like before I continue with the whole garment. And I know that it's going to work out. You don't know. You have no idea that it's going to work, but I know you have faith in me, so here we go. So I'm just going to line everything up as you usually would. I'm going to go ahead and you know, just by memory, I know where the notch is at the top, which one of those dots, the center dot is the notch. And I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, pretty good fit, pretty good fit. So here's the thing. If you have the size that you want and it fits your model, and you can kind of go ahead and you have the pieces that are representative of the style that you wanna make, you're good. Because mainly all you're gonna do is recreate the pattern in the look that you want. You could tweak it, you could do whatever it is that you want, as long as you know it's the styling and it's getting you closer. So now when I say getting you closer, this is where, you know, workflow comes in. Once you get this garment to where you want it to be, like right now I don't have the placket, I don't have the collar. I'm really just looking at it to see what the proportions are and the size are, and does it match what I'm envisioning in my head for this dress. Once you get all of that in to place, then you can zhuzh it, play it around, feel out where you want it to be. Do you want darts? Do you want pleats? Do you want a shaped back? Do you want a more cinched waist? Because that waist is almost exact to what it is. So that was just a style line. It wasn't really a fitted waist. But, you know, once you got your skirt in, do you want to change the fullness of your skirt? Do you want your skirt to be more A-line, or do you want it to be fuller, a bigger circle, or something different? Do you want to add pockets? Do you want to have your cuff be higher? Do you want puffs on your sleeve? Do you want your collar to be different? This is the reason why you have a sloper. So once you get this garment to a place of happiness in the drape, in the proportions, save it as a block. Do not try to start over every garment from scratch. The reason I say that, no pattern makers really do that. unless you're doing couture and you have something crazy that you cannot just start with a sloper. But sometimes they start with a sloper too. So you have to kind of pick your battles when it comes to these things. If you want it to fit a certain way, build your sloper, build your garment so you can have an area of something to go back to. So right now I'm just going to go through. I'm going to put some music on because this video is almost over. And I'm going to let you watch me finish this whole dress. And that's it. So this is the time where you guys need to ask questions. For members, this is a members only video. For members, I will be answering your questions as if we are working together. Because we're on a journey together. I'm on a journey to learn more. I'm on a journey to learn how to help you more. So I need you to give me the feedback, you know, in order to, so I can find the answers for you and just be able to not only help you, but maybe somebody else has the same question that you have. And it's not all about an individual, it's about our community. So 3D is growing and changing, and we need to do the same. And we need to just help each other along the way. There's a lot of competition out there right now as far as programs are concerned, as far as who's going to make the biggest impact, who's going to find the magic button to make a fashion industry sustainable. And I think it's us. I think we are the key to making it work. So I hope you're learning, and I hope you're growing and changing with all of your 3D adventures. And let's get something started. So you're gonna watch me just like modify this. The only thing I didn't change is the length. I feel like the length is a little bit too long, and I think this might have been a size 8. I think I have a size 6. No, do I have a size? I think I have a size 8. This might be a 10. But guess what? It's gonna be whatever I want it to be because it's my block. I don't want it to be super tight. That's one thing that we have to stop doing, is making everything super tight. The temptation is to make it super tight. It looks a little bit nicer, but let's think about real people and real people wearing these clothes. My new saying is, when your metaverse needs to be production ready. Because it's one thing to have a garment that looks good on an avatar in the metaverse, but like, what if you actually want to make that garment? So the metaverse has to be production ready. And that's it. So I'm going to go through and make sure you use your bonding for your collars, and you use your bonding for your collars, plackets, cuffs. I don't think I put it on the cuffs here, but when you're draping these pieces, those are the pieces that have like what do you call it, interfacing, or something bonded to keep it stiff. So just make sure for your collars, cuffs, waistbands, all of that kind of stuff, that you use your bonding selection for them. As you can see, it's highlighted in orange. And that's what you need to like kind of keep that area stiff even through your draping process, so you can get the full visual of what you want the garment to look like. So I'm getting closer. You're gonna see one of the things that I don't do is fool around with buttons if I don't have to. So right now, if I'm just doing a block, I'm gonna put the placket on and I'm gonna sew the placket together, and I'm gonna just make it so that there's placement for it, but there's not really a functionality. When I'm ready to create a garment, I'll have everything in place, and I'll have everything marked out to where it's supposed to be, and I'll know which overlap goes with which and all of that stuff. And for sewing the cuff, I just do one layer because this is a block. I'm not really trying to fold the cuff and do all that. All of that, if I wanted to do the shirt, and I mean do the full garment and in the correct material and all that kind of stuff, then I would, yes, do that. But as long as I can know where the cuff placement is, where the button on the cuff placement is, on the collar placement, how the collar is folded, all of that kind of stuff for a block, it's great. So you don't have to spend 100 hours to make a block, because you're just gonna make it and then you're gonna use it for something else anyway. And it's gonna take you less time to create a new garment from a block than it would to create a block than it would to create a garment from scratch, if that made sense. to anybody but me. But yes, so it is a time saver. Having something like this, you don't have to go the extra mile, but when you've got your thing in place, your garment in place, you can go ahead and start to nuance your pattern shapes. One thing that I didn't do is walk this pattern. This is not what the tutorial is about. The tutorial is about how to get closer to pattern shaping and be, you know, resources for you to be a better pattern maker. So what I'm doing right now is kind of just refining the lines and the shape of the garment by taking away all these harsh points and smoothing some of the lines, and then I'll do the placket and then you guys, and the collar, and then you guys can see me at the end. So I think I'll speed up this part for you guys, and I'll see you at the end of this video with a little bit more advice. Okay, so you sort of know how that turned out from the beginning of the video, and we have our block done. This is the Pattern Making for Fashion Designers book, a staple in pattern making learning. Metric pattern cutting for women's wear. This is a book I was going to buy because it's a little bit more mathematical, but it covers a lot of production stuff too. Pattern Fundamentals is a book that I have in my library, so you can get that here. Pattern Making Primer is something that I'm going to buy. Pattern Magic 1, 2, and 3. I have all 3 of them. They're good schematics to learn how to make very difficult types of patterns, and useful for 3D. So you kind of get an idea of what the shape would look like for the complex garments. Fashion Pattern Making Techniques by Antonio Donano, or Donano. Very, very good. These are staples that I go to all the time because they give you step by step how to make the pattern in a schematic type of format. So basically they give you all of the references, and sometimes the things are complex. You can get a look at some of them if you Google the name Antonio Donano, and you'll see how they lay it out like 1, 2, 3. And it's very schematic, and there are a lot of different garments that they cover in those books. I think it's a 6-book series. I have 4: pattern making, pattern cutting, pattern grading concepts, professional grading. These are 2 books I use to help me with grading measurements, and pretty much apparel production terms, must have. So you guys, that's it. Enjoy.